You know, sometimes being married is tough. When this piece arrived, Mrs. X goes, "Why do you need another Wolverine statue? Don't you have some?"
Previously on Xmen.
Okay, I'll give her that. But I told her, honey, this is Weapon X. Then she asked, you don't have any other Weapon X statues? Well, women. As the Extreme channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we are giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into the Extreme channel. My name is Mr. X. Today we're looking at another amazing collectible. This is a rare Weapon X statue. And as you can see, it's actually based off some cover art from Wolverine number 48. Very stoked to have this in my collection, although I wasn't sure if I was going to keep this. Kind of as a spoiler, while it definitely has its issues, it's an amazing statue, and I think I'm going to keep it. One of the reasons I'm going to keep it is because it goes so well with that slab over there. Now, recently, I did a video on slabs and statues together. You can actually check it out up in the corner over there. There's also a link in the description below. But I really like how these pair well together. So we're going to do a review of Weapon X today. Weapon X is what they called Wolverine when they initially released him from the army. They gave him the adamantium inside of his body. If you don't know what that is, I don't know why the hell you're here, unless you're stalking me, which would be super. Unless you're like really ugly, then that's not very super. Or if you're homicidal, I don't like that either. Or if you're going to like gang rape me, then, well, I might like that. But anyway, let's get back to Weapon X here. Wolverine, as I said, it's a custom, private unlicensed commission. They only made 40 of these. We're going to talk about concept, paint, sculpt, value. We're going to look at the whole gambit for this guy. And as I said, there's a few issues. However, overall, I really do like him. So let's kick it off with our traditional categories. And as always, we're going to look at the concept of this statue. Now, while it is based off that cover, they took a few creative liberties, which I like. Now, this is assumably right after he broke out. So after they installed the adamantium, and they held him captive for a little bit, he broke out. He had all the gadgets around him. I believe this was like in northern Canada where it's very snowy, so hence the very snowy base. There's not a lot going on, but I don't think there needs to be. We'll talk more about that in paint and sculpt. As you move up the way I have him displayed now, he broke out wearing almost nothing. He has snow all over his feet. You see the helmet that they had him wear that semi-helped control him is actually on the ground. And just like the cover here, it is torn to shit. So he has ripped all these devices off him. He's trying to escape. He doesn't quite understand the adamantium, but he is in what we call berserk mode, which I would be too if I was naked in northern Canada and I had claws coming out of me. So you see the wires everywhere. You see how bulky and buff Wolverine is. A little bit of a short stature, and he is mangled, very berserk. His hair is all over the place. Color's a little bit different than the cover, but very cool looking, and I think they captured the essence of that slab really, really well. And again, they took a few creative liberties we're going to talk about, but I think the concept is awesome. It's basic. It's what we traditionally see for a lot of Weapon X statues, which I'm okay with. It's very similar to this one right here that you saw in the intro. And now I have to decide which one of those do I want to keep, because believe it or not, I do have another Weapon X statue coming in, probably later this year or next year. But I give the concept a 4 out of 5. I think they accomplished what they wanted to. And they had to do a few different things with the design we're going to talk about, as well as some of the issues with the design. But before we do that, here's the unboxing and assembly of this piece. Box storage being such a problem, you have no idea how breathtakingly refreshing it is to have a smaller box. But it had the traditional black custom foam and straps that you'll see. Here is the first layer that had his body and then some of his portraits. Some of the light-up features we're going to talk about. And the second layer had the base and a lot of the devices that go around him. Now there are a few different display options, namely the portraits. So first you have the portrait I have here, where his helmet is off, that's just like it is on the cover, and he's in berserker mode. Now you can have the helmet laying down here if you want, but you can also remove it too and it still looks okay. And you're going to want to remove it if you're going to display the helmeted portrait right here. Now I put that right back in the box because I also own XM Studios, this one right here. Now I do plan to keep the XM Studios as well because it's different from this one. Now they attempted a light up feature on here. Actually, in the portrait of Wolverine, there is a light up like this right here. And they actually supplied a remote. Now the idea was great, but it didn't execute well. You have to get it in really, really dark conditions. Check it out right here. Otherwise, you really can't tell the light up feature is on. Not a negative or positive. I think the remote was ingenious. It's smart that they were doing that. But again, it didn't really execute very well. Now mine is leaning forward, so it won't sit all the way in. You can see it right here. And that's on both feet. A little bit unfortunate. I also did have a big QC issue, and they actually left the arrow on there showing it was a QC issue and never got fixed, so it just got overlooked. Not really a big deal because the devices cover that up. And speaking of the devices, as you saw, they actually stick via magnet. So there's a magnet inside Wolverine. Again, I think that's some cool ingenuity, but you have to be really careful because they fall off easy. The wires are all over the place. Now, I like the fact that the wires are different, but they are hard to manage. So I'm kind of on the fence whether I like that or not. Measure them for you guys really quick. So the widest point is about 18 inches. I don't like how much room that takes up, but it makes sense with his crouching stance. Deepest part is only about 12 inches, and Wolverine is a short guy and he's bending over, so it's just a little over 17 inches with one of the strands of hair. The last issue, some of the claws fell out in the shipping, but I glued them back in. So it's definitely not a perfect design by any means. The leaning issue really, really has me worried. Now the other part is this is a pretty simple statue. Now I appreciate the ingenuity of the remote. I appreciate the ingenuity of the magnets inside here, but honestly I would have rather had keys so they were more secure. And with some of the other issues that didn't execute, I think the design's a 2 out of 5 on this, unfortunately. However, paint and sculpt, I'm pleasantly surprised. You know, when I saw pictures of this, I ordered this a long, long time ago, and I kind of forgot that I ordered it. As it came out, I wasn't really feeling it, because a lot of the other Weapon X statues I have more of a realistic vibe, but this is more of a comic vibe. But now that I have them in hand, I really like it. Check it out. All right, let's dive into this guy. Starting with the base, you know, snow is incredibly hard to do. I think they did a nice job here. I have seen better snow, but they gave it enough texture and the fluff, and it doesn't flake off, which is nice, because usually really good snow flakes off. So it looks really good. And like we said, there's not a lot going on, but I don't think there needs to be. Out in the wilderness where he escaped from the lab, there really wasn't much. And then the way the snow is caked onto his feet, I think they did a really nice job with that transition. Very, very snowy. It's not too much, it's not too little, and it really helps tell that story. His Weapon X helmet is phenomenal. There's so much intricate detail on there. The paint is so clean. And again, this has that snow effect coming up on the side. I think just the perfect amount. They did a fantastic job on that. Now, really quick, his flesh tones. It's a little bit pink for me, but I think that makes sense because of the fact he's out in the cold and he just had the Weapon X operation done on him. The hair throughout is more, it is a mix between sculpt and paint. I'm not really feeling it personally. I don't think it looks bad, but that's where it's more of that comic vibe. I think the anatomy looks good. He's a little bit more bulky and wider than I would typically think for Wolverine, but I can get past that. But the flesh tones, other than the pink aspect I talked about, I think look really good. They didn't go overboard with too much veins or blue veins, despite the fact his anatomy is pretty muscular. Again, more of a comic feeling than an actual realistic take on it. And you're going to see that with the portrait. Now, here's all the wires. Like I said, this is unique. They actually used real wires. And I like the fact that it's different. I'm not used to it, so I was a little thrown off at first. But all the Weapon X power packs, or whatever the hell you want to call them right here, I think they look okay. I'm surprised that they're not as detailed as the helmet was. but they look fine. Again, they have more of a comic vibe, where I think this has more of a realistic vibe. They use metal on the claws, which is fantastic. I think you should always use metal on the claws. Especially here, you know, you feel the claws are brand new because he just got them. There is a little bit of print issues on the fingers where they're kind of melded together. But the nails, like look at his fingernails, I think look great. They did a really nice job on that. And here is some of those subtle veins we were talking about. A little bit of hint of blue, and they didn't go overboard, so I like that a lot. Here's his torso. Six-pack down there. The anatomy's done really well. Like I said, other than the fact that he's really wide. The hair I'm not a fan of, so they did add a little bit of blue in there. Very, very little amounts, but it's mostly brown. It's not bad. It's just it's too clumpy, I guess is probably the word for me. It's too clumped together where it doesn't really look like good sculpted hair. For example, that saber tooth back there, the sculpted hair looks fantastic. And I think this isn't necessarily a sculpt issue. I think the paint could have brought it out more, could have individualized the strands a little bit. And on the comic cover, it was blue. I think I would prefer this because this is more realistic. But I think it could have been done better. The portrait, at first I wasn't feeling it, but in person, it's done really well. Again, paint is incredibly clean. Check that out. The flesh tones look good, and his the expression on his face, where the wrinkles are, and his skin is folded over with the evil, I don't want to say evil, but fierce look. They added a saliva effect in the mouth, I think, which knocks him into the next level. The teeth look good. The paint on the tongue is fantastic. The eyes are red, and again, they're that translucent red for the light-up feature that doesn't work the best, but it is a nice option. And I like that it's the rage mode, because he also did have red eyes on the cover. So the portrait, I like a lot better than I thought I would. I like everything a lot better than I thought I would. I think a few areas of opportunity, but it's a nice piece. So let's start with the paint. You know, one thing I forgot to talk about were the pants. They did a really nice job on the pants, both the paint and sculpt. But overall, so the paint's a 3 out of 5. I think it's good. It's nothing exceptional. The hair is what's really throwing me off, and that's not only in the paint, but it's also with the sculpt. The hair's the big issue for me. In the boxes, I think could have been done better. But Wolverine himself, the base, the helmet, I really like those. I think it's a 3 out of 5 on the sculpt as well. Value on this guy, not too bad. So they made 40 of these, and this retailed for $850, plus shipping was a couple $100. And it was economy overseas shipping, but it only took like a month, which was fantastic, because I have pieces that have been in transit for 3 to 4 months right now. So you're about $1,000 all in for a very rare piece. You know, there haven't been a lot of Weapon X statues, both custom and licensed, considering how many different Wolverine statues there are. So I think at the price point, compared to like the other custom, it's definitely a viable option. But I think in the end, it's just a 3 out of 5 on the value for this guy, because you still have the XM Studios, which I'm a big fan of, and I'm sure more will come, especially if they reintroduce the X-Men into the MCU. I'm sure there's going to be an original Wolverine origin story. So does Weapon X have the X Factor? The X Factor is an independent score. How cool is it? I think this is a pretty cool statue. I think the fierceness of Wolverine is fantastic. I think what they did with a lot of the wires makes it different. I hate how much he's leaning forward. That's really bothering me. Now, that's not included in the final score, but I think it's a 4 out of 5. It pleasantly surprised me. It's a lot better than I thought it would be.
That's what she said.
So I'm a fan, and I think I might actually end up keeping this one when I was going to plan and sell it. Let me know, of the 3 I have, which one is your favorite? Throw that down in the comments below, because every time you comment, you get entered into a statue giveaway. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones, at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I really, really appreciate it. Please drop me a like on the way out. It really helps. Check out the links in the description below, both social media and stuff you can buy. That also helps support the channel. I'll talk to you soon. Check out some of these other videos. Take care.